Friends, today I have with me Lenaa, and I'm so excited because for me, after 10 years of awakening, I was looking to find somebody who is enlightened, spiritually awakened. Lenaa, a clinical psychologist, is an award-winning actor. She has done so many movies, but I don't want to talk much about that. What excites me is her book, Autobiography of God. When I heard that, I was amazed. And today, I'm looking forward to an exciting, awakening discussion with her. Welcome, Lenaa. So, Lenaa, welcome. I'm so excited to see you here and be with you because, as I said, to find somebody awakened and enlightened is rare. Although I love what you have written in your book, I'm looking forward to reading your book. You say enlightenment is everybody's birthright. But people, when you say you're enlightened, they say, huh? What blasphemy?
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
How can you say that?
How can you be enlightened? You know?
Actually, because I'm speaking to someone who is awake and has been enlightened for years now, you and I know that it is the most basic thing that we need, and that I know so many people who are actually awake, but because they do not acknowledge it, it lies latent. It's like you have woken up in the morning, but you're not opening your eyes. You've actually woken up, you're not asleep. You're aware of everything happening around you, except you have not opened your eyes so you can't see the room.
Correct.
But you're awake. You're not asleep. And most of the people today are in that state. So this book is not going to tell you like, oh, we'll tell you what self-realization is like. It's some big Mount Everest peak that someday maybe you will learn to trek. No, you are already awake. I'm just telling you, just acknowledge it. Like, just, are you really awake or are you asleep? That's the question.
So my word, same thing what you say. I tell people, open your real eyes. If you open your real eyes, then you will realize.
Yes.
So I wrote a book, it's called The Realizations of a Yogi. I'd like to give this book to you, and it opens with this.
Oh, and I love this cover. My God. And how does it open?
From the side. It pulls the yeah.
This is so, oh wow! Such a beautiful book, and something that you could actually gift. Like, wow, it has its own cover, its own gift box.
Yeah. So because it's a secret, right? It's in a way.
It is.
That unless you discover it, it's there inside, like you said.
Thank you. And so I should also give you my humble little book.
I was looking forward to getting this from you.
Yes. So it's called the Autobiography of God. So people were like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's not Lenaa's autobiography. It is the autobiography of God, because if any of us write our autobiography, actually, who is in that? It's God's autobiography. Anybody's autobiography is the autobiography of God. I just told you God.
Having a human experience.
Yes. And so I'm very proud that Penguin has released the book.
That's a blessing.
It's a blessing, because that gave me the push to go forward with writing more. If not, I may not have. I might thought maybe I'm just being famous or something.
It's very nice. And I'm looking forward to reading this book.
I'm so honored.
You had the guts to have this title. It was really a really very courageous title, because it tells you in no uncertain terms what you are trying to say.
I'm honored and so pleased to be able to present this book to you.
So who will understand when I say I'm getting a book from God?
I'm giving a book to God.
It's so simple,
Yes.
but it's so impossible for people to get there, because I think Lenaa, people have put layers of, either in the ancient days they call it avidya, ignorance, whatever you call it. But today, let's have an interesting discussion to help people. My objective today is to simplify the topic. Okay, so if people ask you the question, why did you title your book Autobiography of God? What would you say?
Straight answer, it is eye-catching. It catches your attention and it makes your brain go, what? Who dared use the title? And then they look and say, how dare you? And they make it, you flip the pages.
How would you explain to people when you say, I am God? So when you meet people and they ask you, okay, you got this realization in 2004 that I am God. So how would you explain today to people I am God?
I found this simple method that I call the 5 W's that I use in the book to explain this. So ask the 5 basic questions. So before we get to that, I do another experiment with people where I make it very personal. So it's not intellectual anymore, it's very practical. So I say, do you say my body? And everyone says, yeah, I say my body. My body is not feeling comfortable, my body is too slim, my body is too fat, my body is something. Okay, my body. Do you say my mind? And they say, yeah, I say my mind's not in the right place today, my mind's a little disturbed or whatever. But we say my mind, so everybody agrees with me. Yeah. Then I say, now who's saying my body, my mind? Who is claiming ownership of that body and mind?
Correct.
And then everyone's like, I am. So I say, okay, now let me ask you, who is this I? They're like, I. So I said, that's the body. No, I. So I'm like, the mind? No, my body, my mind. So who's I? So then I said, let's simplify it further. Now the 5 questions become clear. What am I? Is easier to find the answer because who leads you to more an egoistic personal sense of who am I? So I am so and so, you can come to me. But if you come to what am I? It's like, what am I? I'm a human being. Nah, leave that. Let's come to what is I? What does I stand for? What is this word I? What does it mean? It's also a word, it's a letter, it's a number, and without it we cannot have a personal experience. So what is I? So now we cut out the ego when we took off the am.
Okay.
There's no who am I and no what am I. We come to what is I. Now we are very objective. It's about I. So I give them the answer. I say, you check if you can answer, and most people don't come up with the answer of what I is. Then I say, okay, according to me, that is this I in this form has the answer that I equals life.
Correct.
I is life. Now every one of us calls ourselves I. So we are all the same level, which is calling itself I. There's only one I. There's no separate I's. One I called life. Different forms. So life is saying my body, my mind. This is also life's body and mind. That is life's body and mind. Everything is life's body and mind. Simple and practical way of understanding how we are all one.
Beautiful. So I've written several books. It's beautiful.
I like this one because I think one of my chapters is called something like this. I am not who am I. In that, one of my titles is I am what I think I am. I am not what I am is not who I am. All these are 5. I said, let's break it down. Let's make it practical. Let's make it rational.
It's
if
beautiful.
Not,
yeah.
You know why I think that is important? Because if the rational brain is not means in any way dealt with, it becomes the biggest gatekeeper. It says, you're not making rational sense, I will not let you into the brain. I will sabotage you, I will kick you out. I will say, no, you're talking rubbish.
So it's very exciting because I'm speaking to a clinical psychologist who's enlightened.
I wouldn't call myself a clinical psychologist.
You're
because
educated.
I did my post-graduation in clinical psychology.
Yeah.
But I did not take my license to practice as a clinical psychologist because I was already disillusioned with the subject.
So Lenaa, let's go back to 1,000 years. You and me are here. We both have got explanation, and I'm going to give you my explanation, and we're going to die because it's not different.
I was just about to ask you because it's so interesting that the same I, the same life, had an absolutely different experience in that form.
But it's not. I'm just as you're talking to me.
I want to hear.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to take this back 2,000, 3,000 years ago. In your book, you've written, I think, I've read so many things about your book. Tattvam Asi. What is Tattvam Asi?
That thou art.
Correct? And that is I. That thou art. But and you know those two words that come before that? Have you gone through those two words before that? Adi Shankara said beautifully, to reach Tattvam Asi, there's only one way. It is called Neti Neti. You heard of it, right? So Neti means not this.
All that I am not.
Yeah. So the system of negation. So I'm going to give you a quick. Because you've come forward with a very interesting thing. I will bring my point and then we move forward. What did you say? Tattvamasi, I. You said, what is I? This is my body. This is my mind. Who is that I, fellow? Forget who is I, what is I, what is that I? And you've said it. I hope people understand. And that's why the podcast may help. You're saying this I is the life inside that is saying. So that life inside you and the life inside me
It's the same.
is the same. I give it a name. Spark of unique life. You are saying life. I am saying spark of unique life, which is SOUL.
Exactly.
It becomes a soul. So the soul is
I see the same way when people ask me what is a soul.
Yeah.
I say life, suppose we equate it with light. Light, we talk about light in units of photons. Can we actually see a photon? No. We see light, but if we want to break it down to the smallest measure of light, we just, for scientific, sounding scientific, we say a photon is a unit of light. Like that, a soul is a unit of life.
And then science agrees to it, right? Science is agreeing that electron, neutron, photon becomes a quark.
Yes.
And a quark, as per quantum physics and quantum, is energy.
Yes, and is one unit. Suppose we take it as one unit
But of energy.
of energy.
And energy
And
is
for me, what is life? You said so far I equals life. Then you can ask, then what is life?
So it's energy.
So I say life is not just energy. It is conscious energy.
Correct.
Because we can have electricity as energy, because for the layman who is struggling with this concept, for you and me just to say energy, it makes sense.
Correct.
But they are saying that electricity is also energy, lightning is also energy, everything is energy.
Every inanimate has energy.
Yes, is energy.
Yeah.
So what makes life
Separate. Yeah, I said what I
that
thought.
it is, the soul is conscious energy.
Correct.
So energy, every one of us has the same energy. But when consciousness becomes an integral part of that energy. So this is where I see consciousness as Shiva and energy as Shakti.
Very good.
When Shiva Shakti become one only, you become enlightened.
As you're talking about Shiva Shakti, I built a huge Shiva statue. The problem is this. I think you also talk of God being the biggest problem, because the moment you say God, yeah, because God, somebody says Krishna, somebody says Shiva, somebody says Jesus, somebody.
Yes.
So religion, all religions are good. But to me, religion is only a kindergarten.
Yes, it's just a means of explaining in some simple terms.
We needed that.
We need it sometimes. We are trying our best to discount it. That's why I'm not using the word Shiva Shakti. But for those who understand, like, because we just passed the big Shiva statue, I use that analogy. But I would rather just call it conscious energy. Now, these are two aspects of the same life. There can be life without consciousness, in the sense that it can exist as just a energy form, which is a form, which is a manifestation of energy, but need not have consciousness, and can just do something around and go back into being energy. But conscious energy is now God.
So I had a very interesting discussion with Somnath of ISRO just a few days back. And we discussed this. What is the difference between energy in this table and energy in you and me? In the beginning, scientific mind. So then he agreed. He said that what you're saying, the difference is science cannot explain it, but there is a life energy in you and me which causes birth and causes death. So if you contemplate, death is the moment when the energy departs. Otherwise, my mother or my father, how can I burn? Why do I burn a body? If they were in that body, would I dare burn them? They have left.
Yes.
Then the question, Lenaa, which you were talking.
I has left the body.
That's
Exactly. So I tell people, you can never die, because only the body can die.
Beautiful.
I leaves the body, then it is called a dead body.
Because
it's my body, my mind. I keep saying, remember again and again. You say my body, my mind. So it's not you. The body is not you. The mind is not you. So when you leave the body is dead.
So what do people think? You ask anybody the question, will you die? What's the answer they give?
Say yes.
Yes.
I'm afraid of dying also.
I tell them you will never die because you are the immortal soul.
You are life itself.
Yeah. So then what you say? I am a soul. Soul is the supreme immortal power. What we say God, I have eliminated the word God from my dictionary.
Yes.
And in my vocabulary, I don't use the word God.
Yes.
Of course, you are using it to explain.
I use it particularly for that effect. And if you see, all the rest of the letters are small.
No,
this is even bigger.
I think it's the greatest strategy to make people get their attention to God and then understand
say what is God.
Correct.
Then when you understand that I equals life equals God, I ask you what is life? It is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, eternal, infinite. Isn't that what is God?
Correct.
So why use the term God and get confused? Whereas we all know what life is.
Correct.
Nobody has any problem that, I don't know what life is. You're alive.
Yeah.
Of course you know what life is. But you may not know what God is. Forget that.
But very funny, science till today, they are doing every kind of examination. They have agreed on the law of gravity.
Yes.
Actually, gravity is no problem. But when you throw an apple up, it came down on your head, then science says, must be something that pulls the apple down with Newton. But science is not trying to understand when the body dies, must be something that left the body. Science doesn't want to know.
The problem is, I think with science is constantly only proving what has already become mass consciousness. Only then it materializes. So as more and more people become, like I said, they're already awake. They're not asleep, they're awake, but they're lying in bed with their eyes closed. Like nice, it's nice in the morning when you're already awake but you're not getting up. So somebody seeing you look like you're asleep in bed. But only you know that you're not asleep. But you know why people are pretending to be asleep? Because they're afraid of the consequences of society. When you say you are awake, you immediately become ostracized from society in history. But today, in this time and age, I call this the age of spontaneous enlightenment. This is the era just after the era of big data. We have already got big data. We have all put everything that is in our minds into one place. Now the mind has become manifest. Human mind is manifested. Till now it was an invisible thing. Now it's called the internet. We all have access to everybody's ideas. You just have to ask the right question. Just do a search and you have the answer. You have everything at your fingertips. So what next?
But do you think people can be enlightened so easily?
Yes, they are. I'm saying already more than 20% of our population, imagine the number that is, 20% is awake, but they are just not opening their eyes because they just lie in bed because it's too scary.
So what do you think when the ancient scriptures tell us, I'm going to go into the ancient scripture and then come back to this. They tell us that this world is Maya, which is an illusion. And it means it's nothing but a projection of energy. You and me understand it. But because this world is so enamored by the desire of the body, by the craving of the vasanas of the mind and the ego, I want a car, I want a helicopter, I want this. So, the scriptures tell us that we are all prisoners of P-O-P-P-P. We are prisoners of people, possessions and pleasures. We become a pauper. Because P-O-P-P-P means enlightenment is rejected. So I've made an acronym. So we are all P-O-P-P-P. Therefore, enlightenment. So I'll quickly tell you where I came from. Enlightenment to me, how beautifully you said. You said, my body, my mind, therefore who's an I, and you got that I became life. Very simple. I didn't know how you had got this, but now I get it. So similarly, I went and said, am I the body? You said my body. I took a different approach. My approach was, when were you born? So people will say I was born 1st October. I say no. 1st October you arrived. When were you actually born? You were conceived 9 months before. They said yes, I agree. Then after that, you can't change your mother because you're already planted in your mother's womb. Then I asked them, like you said, if you were born 9 months before, what were you?
Yeah.
What were you 9 months before? Lenaa? You were just
One cell.
zygote, the one cell. They said, okay. I said, contemplate on that.
Where did the one cell come from?
Right.
From 2 cells.
How did
Where did those 2 cells come from? From 2 different cells. And now this, I went back that way to understand what we call as past lives, what we call as our ancestry, and where the mind is and why we are all one. If we go further and further and further back, we will see that we all come.
But this point, when I made people like, how you got that I made people understand what that's right. Then I made them understand. You arrive on your birthday. Then you eat pizza, pasta, and dosa. You become big. A 25 billion cell baby becomes a 35 trillion cell adult. Because of multiplication of that same soul, that same life, that life is multiplying. But you don't understand. If that life was not there, if that cell had died.
In fact, it's not multiplication, it's division. One cell became 2, 2 became 4. So you're not becoming more, you're becoming less.
Getting divided.
Every day you're becoming less and less and one day we go away.
But finally that I remains in
That
itself.
I only remains.
So then I say, let's go forward to the moment with the body. What happens in the moment of death? So people will say, you passed away. Who is the passed away? The one who was alive.
Past.
So I say, you are not this body because you leave the body.
Yes.
And where is the mind? You cannot find. If I tell you, is the mind like a ball? The mind is square. You say, no, mind is there. Mind appears to be there. But actually mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts.
Yes.
That's why when in meditation, when you still the mind, you kill the mind. And according to me, I put it in my book as follows. When you still the mind, slowly, what people say you reach a state of mindfulness or thoughtlessness or awareness, I call it consciousness. And this consciousness is vibrating from that energy of the soul. So the soul is vibrating consciousness in every human being. The moment the soul departs, then there's no consciousness. We may say it in little different ways, but we are saying the same thing.
We say it in different angles and in different ways, and I think it's good for the listener because some people will like the left route to this, some people will like the right route.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, but getting more and more angles on the same thing teaches people that, oh, so I can have my own perspective on this, and that is liberating.
And
that sets you free.
Correct. It's said that two enlightened people will always have a different experience.
That's why we are in 2 separate forms. The same life has taken so many forms to experience all that it is. Suppose you say, before you took any form, your life, formless life, and then formless life for the first time thought, what am I? The moment life thought, what am I? Everything life can be materialized in the mind. Just visualizing, just asking, what am I? And all the answers, everything I could be has become now because it's in the mind of life. The mind of life, that's why I say it is not my mind. We cannot actually say my mind. Mind is a collective dimension that every body can tap into, like the internet.
The mind. You're talking of the universal mind.
The same thing.
Yeah.
There's only one mind is what I'm saying. There is only the universal mind, which is Maya. See, that imagination of what all can I be, it's only imagination. But when life imagines, it feels so real, the way our dreams feel so real to us in the body. When we're closing our eyes and we're dreaming, we're eating ice cream, we're literally tasting the ice cream. And when we wake up, we're like, oh, it's a dream. The same way, when life imagines what all life can be, this Maya world just emerges in the imagination, in the mind of life. And that mind of life to me is like the internet. Now, today we can give that example. In 2004, I couldn't give that example. Today, if you say, my smartphone, why is it smart? Like, my smartphone is my body. Why am I smart? Because I can connect to the internet. Because I can use the mind. So, the body connects to the mind. We don't own the mind. We connect to the mind. And so mind contains all the storehouse of anything ever.
I unfortunately, I avoid using the word mind. I use the separate consciousness.
For me, mind and consciousness are separate.
How do you differentiate mind and consciousness?
For me, mind is a dimension.
Okay.
It's like the internet.
Okay.
So now the internet is the manifestation of the human cloud in the mind.
Okay.
Suppose you say there is Gmail and you have a Gmail account for which only you have a password. So that is your part of Gmail.
Correct.
You don't own it really.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they decide Google doesn't exist anymore. It's like you had an Orkut account. It doesn't exist. There's no Orkut anymore. So like that. So this internet is just a small representation of the human, that Homo sapien area of connectivity to the mind. The mind, if you take, is Maya. To me, that is Maya, no? That is samsara. Now, when you say you are awake, you are actually stepping beyond that. So, in meditation, it's called no mind. When we mean no mind, it's actually never mind. It's like, I got it. No thoughts because you're not thinking about it anymore because those questions have been answered. When the logical, rational brain does not have its questions answered, it is still being a bright brain. It is asking more and more questions. First, that's why I say you have to satisfy the logical, rational brain. The brain, not the mind, the brain, which is saying, but there's some blank spaces here. What fits there? So you give it all those answers. Then it becomes chupchap. It's like, okay, all my questions are answered. Now you go ahead. Now the next dimensions to me, which I write in the book also, are, say we have the physical dimension, which we'll call like ground zero. It's like 1, dimension 1. Then we go to the ethereal dimension, where how is this body alive here? Because it's breathing something that we cannot see. And that's why it's alive. So this is more important than this. This keeps this alive. Okay, now this we call the ethereal. Till where is it ethereal? Till beyond the atmosphere, and then suddenly we call the same thing, space. Now where is space? Space is not just space. This whole room, this huge studio has so much space.
Correct.
But what is in the space? That thing which keeps the bodies alive. Now that thing which we go beyond the Earth's orbit, when we go out, we say, now we're in space. It's the same thing that we're breathing. There's no boundary line. Your ethereal ends and their astral begins. But for our own understanding, we say there the astral dimension begins, where the celestial bodies are.
The problem is this. When you start talking about etheric body, astral world, then people get lost.
But this is where I'm explaining it. I'm saying, see, you're breathing. What you're breathing is the ethereal.
What you're saying is beautiful and absolutely correct. But today, what you and me are trying to do, trying to explain to people in the simplest way.
Yeah.
See, Lenaa, I like your simple explanation of what is that I just loved it.
The same way, if we go the third dimension, we go next, it will become understandable. Because till here, everybody understands when we say body, this breath, the prana, or the life energy that we breathe. And then the astral dimension, we call it the universe, in which all the planets and stars exist. Where does all this exist? So the body exists inside this life force energy which it breathes, so it stays alive. That, when extended, forms the universe. Where does all this exist? In the fourth dimension. What is that? That is called the mind.
See, what you say is very correct. But today, the problem is people have very limited time span. Like in
attention span.
They would Instagram, they would 1 minute, 3 seconds. So what I do, just to make them understand, we tell them, let's explain the human body as a computer. Can the computer work without software? So what you need? You need hardware and you need software. So I tell them hardware is the body, software is the mind. Now I tell them what you need for some computer. They say body, hardware, software. I said sure. They say no. Hardware, software, computer cannot work. You need hardware, software and power supply.
Yes. Energy.
There's no power supply. Either battery or UPS. So the human body is hardware. The mind is a software, and the soul, that life which you talk about, is the power. In our conversation, we are trying to get to one important point. We are not this body, the body will die. We are not the mind, I'm talking about the human mind, not your view. We are not the mind, because the mind you cannot find. We are that life, we are the soul, that spark of unique life. In the Upanishads, so beautifully that they say, Neti Neti Tattvamasi. Then he explains. He says, I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma means Atma, this soul is Brahman.
And actually, when you look at the Sanskrit word I am, and you take the English I am, it's the same. I am, yes, I am. Okay, got it.
So this is why they are called 4 Mahavakyas. Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnana Brahma, I am Brahmasmi. So, what you're saying basically, if somebody only understands Neti Neti, if only I understand, like you said, Lenaa's gone. I like when you said something. Lenaa's over. Lenaa's chapter is gone. So, of course, people will ask you, what man? You say you're God? How dare you say you're God? Yeah, but I have in Aham Brahmasmi, when you look at the translation of Aham Brahmasmi, some people translate, I am God. I say no. I am not. Only God is. So you and me today, we are not Lenaa and AiR. You and me appear to be.
So exactly, we are saying that I am. That I am is that I.
That I.
What is I? I equals God. The am just stands for equal. So it is I equal to God. Aham Brahmasmi.
Correct.
Now I once been reading one of Ravi Maharshi's one of the books on one of his teachings. I came upon this statement, Brahmaiva. And that intrigued me, caught my attention so much. I love the word. I have Aham Brahmasmi tattooed on my arm here. And then I said, I want to Brahmaiva Aham here. So I have a half sleeve tattoo. And I love that. So I have my own tombstone tattooed on my back. Because in 2009, I said, Lenaa doesn't exist. She has to be buried somewhere. Because nobody's believing. So I said for myself, the piece of the mind at that time. Because the mind was turned on. Again, by questions. Why? Because it is the karma to reach this understanding of being able to explain it. If it is not important for me to explain to people what this experience is, I could just be quiet. I can just be silent.
So Brahmaiva.
So Brahmaiva Aham. When you say Aham Brahmasmi, it is I equals God, or the way we understand it as I am God. But when you say Brahmaiva Aham, God is all there is.
Yeah, right.
Even the I is removed. Even the I doesn't exist.
This Jagat Mithya, Brahman Satyam. Only, but Lenaa, you and me have a challenge. We sincerely want to help people reach this state of awakening. What you say, they're already awake. It means it's not that people don't know.
It's not for everyone. That's what I'm thinking. It's not like 100% of the population on the planet cannot wake up together simultaneously, because the world will collapse. Because we need everything to keep the balance.
Correct.
But the balance right now is such that more people are asleep, supposedly asleep.
In samsara.
In samsara. Means the samsara means they are thinking you will have to let go of the material altogether.
Listen,
you are not letting go of material. You are letting go of the attachment to the material.
Correct.
You enjoy, aren't you and me enjoy? That's why we are who we are. See, when earlier you used to see these great rishis and munis walking in one loincloth or with nothing, that scared people.
Correct.
I don't want to be there. Maybe they are a great being, but I don't want to get there.
You brought a beautiful point. I'm interjecting you. So people have thought to be enlightened, you must be a tapasvi or sannyasi.
You can be both, but you don't have to be pauper.
And you don't have to be.
You don't have to.
You don't have to be sannyasi. You don't have to.
But actually you are. If you have done your tapas. You have done your years of sadhana, of contemplation to be able to put these things into these words.
But what you're saying,
it's not that kind of austerity.
Correct. People are scared.
Yes.
When you tell people spirituality, you know what they're telling you?
Like if you say, my son, if you say your son will be a great scholar, great seeker, they'll say, no, I don't want it. I want him to have a good life.
Let's take 2000 years back when Gautama Buddha, his father, was told that your son will either become the king of kings or the emperor of souls. What did he do?
He wanted him to be the king of kings.
And he
did not allow him to see a dead body.
I mean, it's not, and this is not mythology. This is reality. It's history because it's written everything. And they say he made a city where every old man was sent there, every sick person. Now, Lenaa, people are scared of spirituality because they don't understand it is blissful. They don't understand it.
I see that you and I have a responsibility to show people. So, almost everyone who's watching this knows that you have been an iconic entrepreneur. And then you left that to continue on this. But did that mean that you stopped interacting with money at all? No, you stopped doing any further business because you said I've made enough.
Yeah, meaningless.
Not that it became meaningless for you. Like today when Jim Carrey says, I hope everybody becomes so successful that it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. Right? So that is reaching Mount Everest. Where you reach Mount Everest already, now you're saying I don't have to climb anymore because there isn't a higher place to climb. Whereas someone like me, I've been acting in films for 25 years. So it is the ultimate expression of the material world, cinema. It is a illusion within an illusion. It is Maya Loka inside Maya Loka. So it is layers and layers of the whole thing. And on the other side, there is the spiritual quest. So I'm here to tell you, you don't have to let go of either. I am doing my spiritual work, which is my calling, which is to share this. But beyond the spiritual understandings, it is to show that the spiritual understanding can go hand in hand with material living. And the height of it is, after 12 years, it's called a tapaskala. So 12 years, I will tell you, I did all my sadhana to be able to bring it to this level of simplicity of communication. Not for my personal experience, for my ability to communicate in simple words. That 12-year tapas happened. At the end of it, I wrote the book. I cannot say I wrote this book. This book came out through me.
Correct.
Like I'm the pen.
You're
and
the instrument.
so the pen cannot say I wrote this book.
You're just an instrument.
So you feel like that. But at the end of it, what happened? The instrument started saying, now why am I here? I have done my work. Just leave me. Like, let me go back to not being. And it was not yet ready. It's not time. So you feel prarabdha. Like what Shankara says. Prarabdha will take care of the body. The day prarabdha is over, the body will finish. So what is my prarabdha now? I got married this year. At the age of 42, I got married to the other half of my soul is how I see this person. I always believe that for every human being, you may be complete. You're saying you are whole. You have reached the state of completion. Okay. But aren't you still in any one gender? Unless you are a hermaphrodite. You have both genders in you. And you are also self-realized. Now you're complete. You're complete because your body also is whole. It has both in them. Every part of you has become whole. But if you're in any one gender and you're self-realized, you're still half because the other gender of you should exist. That is my feeling.
I think you don't have to, as long as you are in yoga.
Yes.
People don't understand the meaning of yoga. Yoga means union.
Yes.
When your soul is in union there, then you're still Lenaa in a body. This body can't stop eating.
Exactly.
You have to eat.
All that's going
So you want a companion, you want to have somebody in your life.
It's not just that. It is not someone. Anyone.
A soulmate. You're looking for a soulmate.
It's not even a soulmate as I see it. I think a lot of people these days talk about it as a twin flame or a mirror soul. And that concept is pretty new when you look at it. Because consciousness is constantly evolving.
Right.
So we have reached a point where, okay, all this much is done. Now you don't need that much level of austerity like you required in the past days. Because all information is everywhere. Earlier you had to sit in so much and download information from thin air. Now you can just download from internet. Now that much ease has come in. What's the next stage? How do we make material and spiritual more combined in one?
Actually, there is no way to attain spiritual awakening other than the material world.
Yes.
But you
But you don't have to renounce it.
No, you can't.
Earlier days people thought you have to renounce the material world.
So, many people ask me, do we have to leave the material world? I said, that is
How
not
will you? You have to die.
So, very beautifully, for me, it was a little different what you were saying. I had so much fun in my life. I have been there, done it, everything. Then I got my awakening. So today, I ask people, every human being wants to be happy.
Yes.
But I ask them, what is the first peak? The first peak of happiness is achievement. So when I speak to people in Bollywood, celebrities, why you want to be successful? You want to be successful because you think success is equal to happiness. Then I tell them, it's a second peak. It is called fulfillment. So you reach that state of fulfillment, then you're content.
Yes.
फिर कुछ नहीं चाहिए, I'm content. But the third peak of happiness is enlightenment.
Yes.
So I went from achievement, 40 years. Then for 7 years, I traveled to 100 countries, fulfillment. Then my master, my guru told me, search for the light of truth. And I went to enlightenment, which you have experienced. Now, when we reach that state of enlightenment, we are in Sat Chit Anand. You're in the Sat Truth Chit is consciousness. When you're in the consciousness of truth that I am God, then what more bliss you want? Because you're in that Ananda, you're in that complete bliss. And I tell people, if the body pains, you don't suffer. Because you know I am not the body. This is my body. The mind cannot create fear, worry, stress, anxiety, regret, shame, guilt and depression. Because the mind to me, I am evolved from mind to consciousness. And the ego, when I and you, when I exist, then there's anger, hate, revenge, jealousy, pride, greed, selfishness. Now Lenaa, what I tell people, suppose there's no I. You and me, we come to know we are not different from each other. We are same. Two things happen. We will love each other so beautifully that we both are that Atman, we both are that soul. I tell people, if the world understands this, Ukraine and Russia will be killing each other. Gaza and Israel, today the problem is only the ego.
But will not the world completely end?
No, it's not.
Because it's an impossibility.
No, actually, Lenaa.
Because that one I wants to experience itself.
Correct.
And like we cannot walk without friction. We need that friction to be able to just walk like that. We require all this.
Lenaa, for the world to be enlightened is impossible.
Yes.
You know why? Today, 1% of people are visually blind.
Yes.
They can't see. 99% are spiritually blind.
Yes.
Now what I'm talking, from this ratio of 1 is to 99, it should become 2, 3, 4.
And that is happening. I totally believe that because like you said, it is lopsided, the balance. So now it's time for the age of spontaneous enlightenment, where people, now you try talking to the youngsters. When we talk to children and teenagers, whenever we say something, they already seem to know. They look at us like, what's so new about this? Because they are already born into a very woke kind of a world.
Yeah. In world of information, they
Yeah,
are
world of information.
Exactly.
You're already born into that world of information. So what is the next stage of consciousness? Because big data is over. Industrial revolution is over. The big data explosion is over. Age of information is over. We are now in the age of spontaneous realization, because if we don't realize and become conscious, AI will become conscious before us. Then we are in trouble.
I tell people, we award the brain that made the train and plane, but who made the brain?
Yes.
So, you know, the young kids today, you tell them about temple. The temple, what temple? What why temple? They question. Because they don't believe the lie that God lives in the sky. Now they ask question. They tell Mommy, Papa, how many gods, Papa? This one for God, this one for God. And the parents have no answer.
Yes.
Earlier,
But this questioning is so great
It is
that
good.
now there is a possibility of awakening.
Correct.
So all we can do now for the present, for the new generations, is to show them a direction how to ask the right questions. So I said, instead of questioning the world, turn the questions inward. What am I? Who am I? Where am I? When am I? And why am I? You ask these 5 questions, you will come to a very quick awakening compared to asking questions about the world, about people, about gods, about religion, about politics, about this, about that. It will go ad infinitum, it will never end.
That's why Ramana Maharishi's book is only saying, who am I? Lenaa and AiR.
Yes.
That's all he says.
But again, I realize that when Ramana says Lenaa and AiR, it doesn't just mean who am I. The English translation is not rich enough.
Correct.
The Tamil Lenaa and AiR contains all the 5 W's.
Okay.
What, who, when, where, I becomes Lenaa and AiR. Means what is I? Nan. I. AiR. Means what is this thing? This I. It's not just who am I.
Correct, I understand.
That's why I have to make it 5 W's. Because to me, we cannot now say anything beyond what Adi Shankaracharya taught or what Ramana Maharshi lived. He hardly spoke, but his silence was so loud that entire lifetime. But we can put it in modern lingo where English is the language of the world, but English is not deep enough as Sanskrit to be able to translate as easily.
But everybody.
So, one sentence in Sanskrit, one word becomes one book in English.
Like dharma.
Yes.
You can't translate the word dharma. Lenaa, our challenge is this. See, you and me have realized one truth. And the truth is simple. That I am not I am that. You and me, we are speaking it, we understand it, we realize it, and people are blinking and saying, what man, what you realize, how you realize this? Because as long as they are holding on to their I,
There's an ego I.
they cannot, if you want to achieve this I, you have to leave
Let go of
that
that
I.
the small I.
Correct. As long as you're holding the small I,
You won't get the big I. So the only reason people are clinging onto the small I we know is because of fear. One, the first fear that you have to let go, renounce the material world. So we are both here, particularly in the way we live, to tell people you don't have to let go of the material.
correct.
You just have to stop obsessing about it.
And don't cling.
Don't cling.
Yeah, don't cling.
You relax, it will be there. So that's the first teaching. That itself is basically okay. I can relax. It will be there. It will be there. It will not go anywhere. It will be there. Don't worry. Stop clinging to it. Like just let go. Relax. People relax a little. Now we can see. First, let us solve your rational questions. What are the things that make you afraid of spirituality? So let's answer those questions. So those are the kind of books we are writing. We are writing simple books that answer your basic questions. Will this happen? Will that very disastrous thing happen? Will that happen? This happen? Okay, all that we'll first answer. Once you come beyond that point, then we can guide you how to reach that purpose. Why am I here?
Correct. So
Why am I?
This is the second most important
Yes.
question. Who am I?
Yes.
And why am I?
Why am I here? So all this, we are just being here as the ripe mango. The small green mango is thinking, oh, it's so difficult here, and it's all like this, and it's like, oh, it's struggling. And then the ripe mango is there, and it says, it's okay, you will become like me. That's all. So we are here as ripe mangoes of this era to just show that in this era, you don't have to let go of the material world or renounce it, which was a necessity at a particular stage of the evolution of consciousness.
I love your analogy, what you just said. The only challenge is the little green fellow, mango, will automatically become this ripe mango.
Yes.
But unless people who are listening to us, they follow the process,
Yes.
they will remain green mango.
So our job is just to inspire people that come on, you can do it, man. I did it, you can also do it.
And guide them the path.
And a simple way. I'll show you like the ropes I put, and when I was climbing Mount Everest, I put some big nails into this and I put a rope. You can also use those ropes. I'm not taking it down just because I reached on top.
But that's not the only method.
Not the only way.
There are many methods.
You will stumble upon your own, or if you need any help, there are a lot of guidance.
I don't know if you heard this very beautiful analogy I tell people. I say, let's do an experiment. We take a room and we take a body and we are doing a virtual experiment. Now we are getting surgeons from all over the world and we are peeling the skin.
Okay.
We have kept the skin. Now as we peel the skin, the blood is coming. We are keeping the blood in beakers. Flesh we are keeping. Kidney, heart, brain, organs. Everything we have kept. Every cell room is completely sealed. Not even one dot is gone. It's a sealed room within the sealed room within the sealed room, air conditioned. Now finally the skeleton is here. Now all the surgeons say, come on, now we have removed it. Parts. Now we are going to put together. So they put back the blood, the skin, the flesh, and they stitch it. But where is the life that was in this body? You cannot put that life. So what you were just talking just now, I'm giving you how another analogy of beautifully they said that in that room, where did that life go? Nobody can put that life back.
Because this is what I feel is happening with the medicine today. whatever has been done on cadavers, you cut and you found and you said, okay, for this we can use this medication. That's not the same as when our sages sat and in meditation knew how the body is inside and they found that that Ayurvedic herb will work on this organ. They didn't cut up any body. So medicine that is based on cutting up dead bodies will create more dead bodies. Medicine is created on the intuition and understanding of life bodies through meditation. That's why if we talk about whether meditation versus medication, any day meditation will win.
So the mind, the whole challenge is, something very beautiful. What is the benefit? You say 1% only. So what is the benefit of enlightenment? When I realize I am not this stuck to myself, when I realize I am that, then I'm liberated. We are liberated from all the misery.
What we mean by liberation will make it even simpler to say that it is beyond a state of peacefulness. Like say when you've just fallen in love. So almost everybody is used to the feeling of just having fallen in love. At some point or the other in their life, they've fallen in love. The moment you fall in love, now you're sitting with your beloved in your car, or you're talking on the phone to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, the traffic jam and nothing is irritating you. It's not disturbing you, the same traffic jam. The day before this, you had not fallen in love. And you were complaining and the traffic jam was so irritating and the sun was too hot and everything was so difficult. And suddenly you're in love and you're walking in the rain without an umbrella, you don't care. The traffic jam is there, you're saying, good, no, we get this much more time to talk. And just see, the situations and the circumstances have not changed. You are in love or you are not in love. That is what made the entire difference. That is the experience of spirituality. You are in love. Spirituality is love. Because you are in love with everything, because you know that it's all you. I am all this. There's nothing to be bothered about. You're not afraid.
Have you heard of the movie Satyam Shivam Sundaram?
Yes.
What is the meaning of that movie? Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Satya ye hai ki Shiv hi sundar hai.
Yes.
Because
that's the song also.
Because if you take out, you're so beautiful here. If I take out the Shiva, means if I take out the life from you,
finished.
Where's the beauty of Lenaa?
No beauty. No dead body ever looks beautiful.
So therefore, Lenaa, all beauty is equal to divinity. And everything that is beautiful is a manifestation of the divine. A beautiful rose. The rose is so beautiful. But the moment the life leaves, it falls dead.
Useless.
A bird, a beautiful kingfisher, a beautiful dove. The moment it's on the floor. Now these people know. In this song it says beautifully, it says Ramavad mein, Kashi mein Shiv, Kanha Vrindavan mein, Daya karo Prabhu, Dekho inko, Daya karo Prabhu, Dekho inko, Har ghar ke aangan mein. So the beauty in what you're saying, the moment you realize I am nothing, I am God, that's not enough. Then you realize I am God, he is God, she is God, only God is.
That is why I found that the challenge that we were facing in the modern age can be solved when we say I equals life. You have to keep reminding yourself again and again, reprogramming that subconscious by saying my body, my mind. So I am not the body, I am not the mind. So what am I? I am life.
Correct.
I am life. I am life. And you have to do this on a daily basis, every time, continuously, till it becomes your, yes, I understand this. Again, when the confusion arises, again say, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am life.
Because the mind will stop you from saying this. The mind is constantly telling you, no, I am Lenaa,
Yes.
I am Kumar.
Yes.
The
Yes.
mind is trying.
The aham is trying to attach to the manifested things, the world, instead of the unseen, unmanifested life.
Because the biggest enemy is me. M-E is mind and ego. M-E stands for mind and ego. And this fellow mind and ego not only makes us suffer on earth. I don't know if you agree to this concept. When this body dies, if we are not enlightened, what happens? The Upanishad explains. If we are not enlightened, me, the mind and ego, carries karma and comes back to
So that is where I say, where does that go? Because you get stuck again at the level of mind.
correct.
Whereas, where does the mind exist? The mind itself is a byproduct, is an imagination of conscious energy. So consciousness is beyond mind. Mind can never become consciousness. Mind is the imagination of consciousness. Conscious life just thought, what am I? And immediately mind arose because it is imagination, it's thoughts. It is like planning. How will we make our new house? Now you make a drawing. Till then the house doesn't exist. The moment you thought about it, now an image arose. Now that is the mind. That is a thought. It is just an imagination. Consciousness is the base, is Sat, Chit. That Sat is life, Sat. Chit is consciousness. And when life and consciousness, that is like being, that self-realization happens, only then is Anandam possible.
So we have to help people somehow. I have used books and I write songs, but unless people like you and me, because trying to find people who even understand that you can be enlightened and awakened, people are the taboo to tell somebody. In one of the songs I have written, people laugh. And since you understand Hindi, he says, इंसान मैं नहीं सच में भगवान हूँ, दिखता जो मैं वो नहीं आत्मा में हूँ, अनुभूति हो गई एहसास हो गया नेति नेति तत्वमसि ये नहीं वो मैं हूँ. So when people hear this song, somebody like you immediately relates. Yeah, I am not Lenaa. I am the soul in Lenaa. I am the life in Lenaa. You will say life. Now whether you say life or soul, it hardly matters. Some people say ruh, some people say spirit, some people. But people to understand, just to understand the Bible. You're familiar with the Bible. Luke 17 says, the kingdom of God is within. Corinthians 3:16 says, God lives in the temple of your heart. Now the Bible is telling.
And there's one more, I don't know which it is, it's a psalm I think, which says, be still and know that I am God.
Correct.
Be still and know that I am God.
No, Lenaa, the Bible is saying,
Yes.
but still we believe that we will go to God in heaven.
Yes.
But now religions are, see the problem with religion, people don't understand. There's religion 1, religion 2, religion 3, religion 4. All religions are good. But when each of these fellows says, my God, my God, my God, my God, then who God?
I have noticed that religion is efficient at a point where you are just in a state of fear of going beyond the mind. When your body starts to shiver when you think of going beyond mind, which means into meditation. When you think of that, it feels like death. It feels like it is death actually, because till then you think I am Lenaa. The moment you reach your Lenaa is dead, because who Lenaa? That body's name is Lenaa. Right? When I leave this body, what will we say? Lenaa died. Lenaa died. The name we should always remember again and again. Your name is the name of the body. Every body needs a name. Others we can't call it, it's not functional.
That's why when you were born, you were not Lenaa.
No.
After you were born,
Yes, the body's name. That body's name is Lenaa. This body's name is Ravi. But you are not the body. So this is a simple way that we can communicate. So again and again you remember when you say your name. Right now, those who are watching, just say your name. Maybe it's Savitri, maybe it is Atman, maybe it is Lucy, maybe it's something, we don't know what. You say your name and then think. This body, touch that body, that physical. This physical body is called that name. And now keep on remembering that for the next 1 week. Only remember this body, pinch it, it feels something. Why is it able to feel? That will come to later. But this body which can feel is called Lenaa. Now again and again say your name. This is that name. Just keep identifying that name is the name of the body. And then next week you start forming the next thing. So I think we have a great responsibility.
do we have differences in any of our thought you feel?
Yes, we have a lot of different ways of points of view.
But any major conceptually?
No, never. That's impossible. But the approach and the way. So when I see how you are looking at it, I'm like, wow. So that way also is possible. It's like I saw the east view from the Himalayas, and you have seen the west view from the Himalayas. Right.
When you told me how this life,
Yes.
I've never seen it like this.
It's a different POV. So this is what we are hoping to bring. That more and more people can share their POV of life, how life sees life.
Let them have any POV.
Yes.
But we want them to climb Everest.
Yes.
The idea is that
Exactly.
we want everybody in our analogy.
Yes.
The goal is Everest.
Yes.
Everest.
And all we are here to say is that climbing Everest is not impossible.
Correct.
It is difficult.
You are
But it's not
going.
impossible.
We are telling people you are going E called Everest. We'll teach you to go to E called Enlightenment.
Yes.
So our E is different.
Yes.
Because this Everest many people are going. Because you can just have a look at the body mind.
You can even go by helicopter.
But for people to reach this state of enlightenment, actually, why I'm so motivated, Lenaa, and I'm so excited to meet somebody like you, because you're the first person I'm meeting after my 10 years. First person I'm meeting face to face, who I can see through and through that you're not talking enlightenment.
Yeah, it's walking the talk.
Yeah. I can feel every cell of yours is vibrating enlightenment. I've heard of Adi Shankara, Ramana, Vivekananda, I've heard. And their books I have read. But to get a live person and to help people believe that, sometimes people ask me, what is enlightenment? I tell them, if you go to a room which is fully dark, there's no light. What do you do? If you walk into a room, you will tumble. Some chairs, some table. Then what you need? You need to switch on the light. So I tell them, you can't remove the darkness from a room with a broom. You can't sweep away. So you have to switch on the light. Enlightenment, only one difference. You have to go inside. This room is not outside. If you go inside and you switch on the light, then what do you see like Lenaa saw? Lenaa saw in 2004. What did Lenaa see? I am divine. I am that what people call God. God is not in the sky, that's a lie. God is here. God is now. You got that feeling. That feeling is called awakening and enlightenment. People don't understand. So in 2000, after a gap of 14 years, 2004 to 2018, and you were going through your sadhana and your tapas and your I also went through many years of evolution. But now, you're no more the small green mango. You're that big life.
Now there is a why am I to us. We have finished the what and who and when and where.
Yes.
We are always here now for the when and where. The who is, this is Ravi and this is Lenaa, because that's the names of the body. What is the same one I. Now the why, we have a common why, and that is why we are sitting here together and we are thinking of how can we take this forward, because our why is the same. My why, I put it in very simple words. I exist here as Lenaa. I exists here as Lenaa in order to spread the tools for self-realization through infotainment.
Beautiful.
I have been in entertainment business for 25 years, but I want it not to be just entertaining. I want it to be infotaining. It has to be very entertaining. We are fed up of boring lectures. No, we want it to be presented in a capturing way. And today we have so many media. We have all the social media. We have all the platforms ready. And even the biggest tool, it's my dream to be able to make infotainment movies, because nothing influences us more than cinema. I have seen that we think we know New York. Everybody thinks New York. New York pata hai. Kaise pata hai? You got to New York? No, I've seen in movies, Times Square and all. We have seen here. We think we know. We say, you know how this thing, US Army works, Air Force One. I know Air Force One. I know how the police department in US works. 911 dial karo. How do you know all this? From movies. You know how the place looks, how their food looks, through audio-visual entertainment. It's not always entertainment, it's infotainment. Right. And we think romance is like this. How do you know? I've seen in so many movies, so many songs. This is how you romance.
Where's the movie on enlightenment? There's no movies.
There are very few, like The Matrix, like so many of Jim Carrey's movies. So they have to make it little more on purpose.
And clear.
Clear?
It should have clear.
But entertaining. So infotainment, not a documentary. We want entertaining cinema which will change your life. That is, my dream is that you walk into the theatre, one person walked in, they watch the movie and they don't go out that same person. They go out as I. If you can pull that off, I think our why am I will be also satisfied.
I'm completely with you. I call this, when you say why, a vision is to touch, trigger and transform.
Wonderful.
If you touch, trigger and transform, then what would happen? You said something in the movie. I want to end with my thought when I'm sharing with why we are here. People in this world, they are crawling like worms. People in this world are crawling like a worm that will live and die. But we want to tell them that you can evolve and metamorphose as a caterpillar. When you become a larvae and a pupa, then you become a beautiful butterfly. And that's what we are meant to be. But in that worm, I don't know if you know the story of the dragonfly. You know the story of the dragonfly? Let me close with that. So there were a huge bundle of insects, worms in the bottom of a lake. What used to happen is these insects would go up a stalk of a plant, go on the top and disappear. And the next insect would go on the top and disappear. So they called for a conference of insects and they said, what's happening here? These insects are going up and then they're disappearing. So they made a promise that when any of us goes up, we will not disappear. We will come and tell everybody. When the next fellow went there on the top, he realized he metamorphosed into a dragonfly and flew. Now when he flies, he's looking down at those insects, but he can't go down.
And he's trying to tell them, but they think, no, you are something else, you are not one of us.
But you and me, we can go down.
We can.
And we want to go down.
And it's not an easy process, and I know that you and I have faced our own life struggles in order to be able to come here and do what we are doing. It's easier to just fly off.
But we are committed, and so good. This is a beautiful start. Thank you so much. It's such an honor and pleasure to meet you, to have had this talk with you, and we will do lots more in touch.
Same here. Thank you so much, AiR.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has watched.
Thank you.